So I want to welcome everyone to episode 24 on our Trust After Trauma podcast. It really has been such a delicious journey of bringing incredible people to our guest list and having them share what's passionately important to them that is in alignment with how it is that we can build these muscles of trust after we've experienced different forms of challenges and different types of trauma. And today we have a very special guest. Her name is Stefanie Dumont, and I am going to be sharing her beautiful bio with you. But first, I want to share that our topic title is called Resilient Leadership, Transforming Life's Wounds into Wisdom. I love the whole process of transformation and transmutation. And so Stefanie and I are going to have a beautiful conversation today, and I'm really excited. But I want to tell you a little bit about her before we start this conversation. She's an executive and coherence coach, a best-selling author, and founder of Coherence Leadership Coaching, helping leaders, executives, and conscious parents shift from pressure to presence. Say that 3 times fast. With over 2 decades of experience coaching Olympic athletes, CEOs, creatives, and mission-driven entrepreneurs, Stefanie blends neuroscience, emotional intelligence, and embodiment practices to guide clients from overwhelm to empowerment. Her heart-centered approach fosters clarity, resilience, and sustainable leadership, enabling individuals to navigate uncertainty with confidence. As a #1 Amazon best-selling author of Yes First, Taking Action in Uncertain Times, Stefanie empowers leaders to turn life's challenges into opportunities for courageous and aligned decision making. Welcome, Stefanie, to our podcast today. I'm so excited to be on this conversation with you.
Me too. I've been waiting and very excited. And I just want to take a second, Janet, and acknowledge you. We've known each other for a few years now through a mutual friend, and you have been absolutely priceless to these young women that I know. And I know that you are priceless with Grace's Place. So I want to thank you for taking your career and helping these beautiful people, men, women, and children who are getting back on their feet and creating a new life for themselves. They're very lucky to have you. And I just want to thank you for everything that you're doing and everything you've done.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. I'm just humbled and honored. Thank you for that acknowledgement. And yeah, we're all on this journey together. And when we're deeply listening to how it is that God is guiding us to these next steps of love and service, and when the messages come for us to be open enough to listen and then take the action. And I know that you are a fantastic listener, and I would love for you to share with our audience today how it is that you got into this way of being of loving service to leaders, and in your leadership role in helping them to really be conscious leaders.
Yes. This has been something, let's see, self-esteem and self-worth has been on my agenda and in my vernacular since I was about 13 years old. So I was very fortunate at a very young age. My mom sold music for an entertainment company, and I happened to be a young singer. And at about 13 years old, I got called up on stage at a very big event, and they said, we heard you could sing, and we want to know if you'll sing a song. And I sang, and it was very successful. And then after that, they said, do you have another? And I said, yeah. Next thing I knew, I got hired to go on the road at 13 years old with a 16-piece orchestra. And every single weekend, instead of going to play with my friends, I was working. I was somewhat thrust into adulthood at a very, very young age. And at 13 years old, car would come pick me up. I'd get in with a musician and drive off to a gig in Vegas or Palm Springs or Los Angeles and all these different things. And so I grew up pretty fast.
Mhm.
And also at the age of 13, it was pivotal for me. One of my mentors, and I want to talk about mentorship with you today, but one of my most special mentors, her name is Grandma Sparky, and her real name is Halise Bridges. And many of you might know her. She's the Blue Ribbon Lady, and she came to my junior high school also when I was 13, and she gave me a blue ribbon that says who I am makes a difference. And she called me up on stage and she looked me in the eye. She didn't even know me. And she told me why, she told me why I made a difference in the world. And it struck me like lightning because from a very young age, for whatever reason in this lifetime, it feels like I've had to work for love. So I would, I joke around sometimes that I could hold up a sign that says, "We'll work for love." And I know that so many people resonate with that
Yeah.
because that's how we were raised and that's what we were taught. And you need to be productive and you need to be successful and you need to be perfect and you need to have all these things. So Sparky told me that she loved me and appreciated me for who I am.
Mhm.
And that's something I want to pass along to your listeners as well, is that you are beautiful and you are worthy just for who you are today, with wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, whatever it is that you need to do, or wherever you've come from, understanding that you are worthy and deserving of love and deserving of self-worth at this point right now is one of the most important messages that I could pass on today to your guests.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so relevant and it's so touching and it's so essential. Like this is it's so important to be able to share that in the way that you just shared it. And I was just on a call earlier this morning and we were talking about, even the message of my next book, which is called The Healing Journey of Self-Love. And it's really how you and I have had so many deep and profound conversations
Yep.
and the importance of it. And even teaching, children of all ages, whether they're 66 or 6, to know that who they are matters.
Yeah.
And can't and so I love that you're starting our call with that message. And I would love for you to share about how it is that that falls into the leadership style or the leaders that you serve in such a profound way, because as we can all own that we are the leaders of our own lives,
Mm-hmm.
when we recognize that we're using our qualities from God as our leadership style. Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit more about
Yeah, and
that?
I want to say also that, you know, it it's not always easy. It hasn't always been easy for me. And so it is rewarding for me to look back on a lot of the things that happened to me in my life and then how it made me, like you said, into the leader I am. I had a pretty tough upbringing, um, a very like a dominator type model father. and I had to be perfect and I had to do things his way. It was his way or the highway. And I think that's where the whole me uh, working for love started, because it was like, if I wasn't perfect, if I wasn't doing things the right way, if I made a mistake, like in his mind, or then I wasn't worthy. And so those are the messages I got. I'm going to give it, I'll give it to you a little bit when you're doing something right. And when you're not doing anything right, I'm going to take it all back. And so it was difficult growing up with this, because I've always been a very, I don't know, loving, accepting, grateful. I love to compliment people and point out what people are doing right. And who knows, maybe that's part of the influence on always having pointed out what I did wrong throughout my life growing up. And then, taking that ball and running with it, um, in regards to perfectionism.
Yeah.
So I am actually, this comes at such perfect timing, because I am in the process of, really, in this last year, I started this journey of unraveling perfection for myself and
Mm,
defining what that meant. Like, okay, so the way that I'm feeling in regards to preparation, the way I'm feeling in regards to success, there was so much pressure involved. And I realized that I was putting that pressure on myself.
mm-hmm.
So I made a conscious decision that I wanted to, unravel that and go in a different direction. And so some of the things for me, because of having to go on stage at a very young age and becoming very successful at a very young age, it was difficult for me to show up any less than my best, as weird as this sounds. So I felt like if I wasn't my best, I would withdraw, I would hide, and I would not let anybody know. I wouldn't ask for help. And again, this is stuff that was passed on to me in my youth. I watched my parents play this game, so to speak, and just, expose themselves to the pressures of the world, and then, beat themselves up with it. And so this is something I've lived with for years and years. And so I am practicing now, showing up just as I am. Like when things are not going my way, I am learning to say, I've been better. There's some stuff that's really heavy that's on my heart right now, and starting to talk about that. And that's still a very foreign conversation to me, because I used to only like to share when everything was great. And, I'm a Pollyanna, and I like to, my head's in the clouds, and I like to see the best of everything. And if everything wasn't the best, I didn't always want to talk about it.
Right.
So, this has been a learning process, and I'm still, I'm in my 50s now, and I'm still in my learning process.
Mm,
And I'm starting to really relax into my own skin.
mm,
So, part of this process, and this is what we talked about in regards to resilient leadership. About 3.5 years ago, I was certified in something called heart math, and started learning heart based breathing. It's been kind of in my space, in my vernacular, for about 15 years now. And it's something that I always wanted to learn, but it just wasn't the right time. And then it just came in my face so loud and clear that it was the right time. So I got certified, and practicing resilience and heart based breathing on a consistent basis has so radically shifted myself and my life. It shifted who I am, and it shifted how I show up in the world, because
mm,
I had all of these like old baselines of behavior, and we all do. We have like subconscious baselines of behavior that we're not even aware of that we're doing. And it stems from our past and the trauma that we've had and the ways that we've coped and the ways we needed to survive. And it's just, it's so powerful what can happen when we put ourselves into alignment. And so I teach my clients coherence breathing. And coherence is alignment of your heart, your brain, and your emotions. And so when our heart and our brain and our systems all come into alignment, our nervous system, our hormonal system, when that all comes into alignment, we are then able to be the people that we want to be and have the emotions that we'd ultimately love to have, like grace, like honor, like dignity. It's like, think of yourself like picking weeds. When you're doing the coherence breathing, you're picking out all the weeds, and all that's left are the beautiful, succulent flowers. And then we get to water those, and we get to garden those, and we get to nurture them and speak lovingly to them, because all of that stuff from the past has been weeded out and pulled out. And this takes me to another very important point that I'd love for your listeners to get to today, is that, at any point in time, you can choose to be different. You can choose to be somebody that you've never been. You can choose to have the characteristics of somebody that you greatly admire or a mentor. And it just takes consistency and practice. The first thing we need to do is to intend. Who do I want to be now? What do I want to be today? And start with present, start with where we are right now. And it doesn't matter what's happened to you. I've had a lot of, like, when I was looking back on the trauma that I've experienced in my life for this podcast, it's a big wow. It has not been easy. It's been a big wow. There's been some really scary, frightening times of my life, a lot of difficulties that I've dealt with. And every time I went through something, it made me better. It made me stronger. And I mean, I certainly wouldn't have wished this for my life, because I'm also a believer that you can learn through other people's experiences. You don't have to necessarily have the hardship in order to get these lessons. And this is something I work on with my clients as well, is that, you can learn from someone else's story. You do not have to hit rock bottom in order to start anew. You could just say, you know what, I think I want to have more contentment in my life. I want to feel more content. And that's really what I am striving for in my life today, is just more joy, more contentment, more well-being. I want to relax more. And so I'm learning to not have to run, to not have to sprint, to run a shorter race. So coherence can help regulate your nervous system, and it literally can change everything. So the ways in which you felt in the past, those things creep up on us. They come up on us and we get triggered, right? So we start to have reactions and react a certain way. And even though you're still getting triggered and you're still having these strong reactions, just to be taught that you can learn a new way, a better way, that you can just do heart-based breathing like a couple of times a week and change your habits and your behaviors and your baselines. It's like a miracle.
It is. It absolutely is. And I love that you brought all that to the foreground. And it really is about choice. And then it is about taking the inspired action to actually make the jump, to make the changes. And, practicing, what we do in our day to move us in the direction of who we are choosing to become. It is an intention. It is, you intend to do these things. And and when we are in these practices, we learn a whole other dimension of ourselves. It's the whole purpose of this podcast. When, it was like trust after trauma. I know there's so many incredible women like yourself that have gone through really challenging, difficult times and have found what I call spiritual tools that you put in your tool belt and throughout the day, or I call them my 7 daily sacred practices that
Mm-hmm.
that happen from the moment I first wake to the moment I close my eyes to go into deep sleep. um, there are practices that I engage
Right.
in all throughout the day. And so what you're talking about is the practices that have been so instrumental in your life's journey, that have
Mhm.
taken you from your wounds to your wisdom.
Yes.
and and I love that you're bringing up the heart math, and and really the alignment of our heart and our brain, and the action. I think that was the third one.
Well, your heart, when your heart and your brain are in alignment, it
Mm-hmm,
produces positive emotions, feelings, and attitudes. And
mm-hmm,
so really the foundation, we've been taught, I was taught, if you think positive, positive things are happen. If you speak positive, if you speak, good
yep,
language, good things are going to happen. It's missing the most important component. And the most important component is our physiology and is our alignment. So when you start with physiology as the foundation and you build from there, and understand that your physiology produces your feelings, that your feelings produce your emotions, that your emotions affect your thinking, that your thinking affects your behavior, right? So it's like, it's that ladder. And
yeah,
so I want your guests to understand that by no matter what's happened to you, it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter what's happened to you. If you start with your physiology and practice heart based breathing, that is
mm-hmm,
going to change your DNA. It's going to change your systems. It's going to change the way that you look at the world. It's going to change the way that you feel.
yeah,
And I mean, that's kind of my most latest and newest tool. When I
mm-hmm.
was very young and I was talking about this pivotal age of 13, the entertainment company that I was talking about earlier that I sang for put me through a program called Psy. Do you know what Psy
Oh
is?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as a teenager, I got put into this program that completely and totally reprograms your entire thinking, being, self.
Yep,
So, Landmark is another similar
yep,
program, which many of your listeners may actually know more of. But Psi is people synergistically involved, and the program still exists. It's an incredible program. And so at 13, it was like I was given the keys to the universe. At 13, I was learning, I was in this training with these like 50-year-olds and learning these skills and ways of being and ways of approaching the world and problem solving that was just invaluable to my life.
yeah, yeah.
So Sai was a big influence. I talked about the mentors, my Sparky as my mentor when I was young, telling me that I mattered. I also did work when I moved to Los Angeles when I turned 21. I started going to see Marianne Williamson speak in
Mm-hmm.
the churches up in Los Angeles on spirituality. And she was talking on A Course in Miracles, which also helped me immensely in regards to reprogramming. And Marianne did this series of audio tapes, like any topic, you could relationships, work, finance. And I remember, I'm dating myself here, but I had a cassette collection. And anytime I had an issue arise with that subject, I'd pull out the tape, I'd play it for myself, and it was like, boom, I had new perspective. So
Yeah,
I had the choice of this is what's happening for me right now. And then I created this is how you can look at it. Here's the alternative. Here's the
yeah,
option. And
right.
everything she taught about that so resonated with every fiber of my being that I was able to reprogram at the age of 21. I did it also at 13 when I was in Psi. all of the negative things that I had experienced, all the stuff that was passed down to me, that I had taken on, that I had adopted, I was able to release and look at these things and show up for things in my life the way that, like you said, by choice, the way I was choosing to show up. Yes, this relationship ended and this guy went a different direction. Well, what if that was a gift for me? What if that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me? Because it wouldn't be happening unless it was in my highest and best good.
Right.
So it's so everything matters. How we look at things, how
Yes.
we approach things, how we believe things affect us or not, what we say to ourselves after these things have happened. It's everything. And
It's
so we always have these choices.
Yes, absolutely. And and I refer to the things that I was raised with because they have deeper meaning for me now. But even in the Bible, it is done unto us as we believe. It is done unto us as we believe. That's our mindset and our heart set. That's that's the foundation of then how we walk in the world and how we even have what I call delicious expectancy.
I love that.
It's like, oh, this is, everything's always working out for my highest good. And
Mhm.
so whether it's and not to discount when you're going through a challenging time, it doesn't feel good. It's not
No,
easy. But when you have these tools in your tool belt, which is what we're bringing to you each week in these podcasts, and having these beautiful, leaders in the industry that you're, involved in, how it is that we can incorporate new tools and put new tools into our toolbox, or even dust off. If you know about heart math and you know about heart coherence, dust it off and start using it again in a new way. So as we're wrapping up our beautiful conversation today, Stefanie, what would your parting words want to be, and how can our incredible audience stay in touch with you?
well, first and foremost, I want to say that belief in yourself is the most important and the greatest gift that you can ever give yourself. No one will believe in you the way that you do, and it's never too late to begin to believe in yourself in a new way. And just like you said, Janet, we are constantly changing, we're constantly growing, and that does not stop. This is a process. It's a life process. And when you become the driver in that life process and you start to say, this is the kind of life that I would like to have for myself. It's important for you to intend, it's important for you to know this is what I want.
Yeah.
This is the kind of life I want to live. This is the way I want to feel. These are the types of people that I want to have around me. This is the
Mhm.
type of service that I want to do in the world. This is my purpose and the gift I have to give.
Yep.
All of those things are absolutely essential with your physiology and with coherence as a foundation. And what I'd love to give your guests as a gift today is to have like a little experience. I want to give them the heart based breathing audio. So I made a short 2-minute heart based breathing audio that I would love to give away to your guests.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
it's all ready for you. You just have to go to masterclass.coherenceleadershipcoaching.com. And I'm going to repeat that, masterclass.coherenceleadershipcoaching.com. And if you register, you will get the free 2-minute audio so that you could start practicing heart based breathing right now in your life. And also, I'd love to invite your guests to come to a complimentary masterclass so they could learn a couple of tools and techniques. So when you register for the heart based breathing coherence audio, we will reach out to you in the next month and let you know the next date for the coherence leadership
Oh,
masterclass.
oh, I love that. And we'll type it out in the
Love
show
it.
notes in any one of the platforms that you are listening in, or if you're on YouTube and you're actually watching us. Um, the link will be in the show notes, so it will be easily accessible for everyone. And I thank you so much for that generous gift. I
Oh my
love
gosh,
that.
it's a pleasure.
And I know that you and I connected, on so many levels, and at so many beautiful times. And it really is about heart first. And, that's where you and I, it's like we've been taught to trust the mind and let the mind tell the heart how to feel. And I know that my journey here too, as a spiritual life coach, is, is to trust your heart
Yeah.
and have your heart's wisdom tell your mind what to think.
It's the most powerful. It's the highest form of communication because, like you said, we've been taught our whole lives that it starts here.
Yeah.
It starts here. Look at all,
Yeah.
like, follow your heart, lead with your heart.
I know.
And
And
when you do learn to listen to your heart, it takes you to the most absolutely mind-blowing places. And
yes.
so,
Oh,
thank
thank
you
you
for our
so
time,
much.
Janet.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad we found our schedules
Found the window.
coherent so that we could come together and share this. And for those of you who are new to our channel, go back and look at some of the other topics and titles and see which ones could either be of loving service to you or to someone that you love. We're here every Freedom Friday. We release our newest podcast episode. And so this one will come out this Friday. And I just want to say that I'm really, truly so grateful for Stefanie, for you taking the time to share your beautiful heart and your beautiful wisdom with our audience. And we will have you on again soon.
I look
And
forward to it
we can bring our calendars in coherence again.
for
So
sure.
from my heart to yours, have a beautiful and blessed day, and we will talk soon.
Thank you
Much
so
love.
much.
Bye
Thanks,
for now.
everybody.